Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? It's Matt from Yo Video Games, and today I'd like to talk to you and break down a new trailer for one of my most anticipated video games coming out. Last year at Gamescom, Sony Computer Entertainment debuted an interesting new game by Tequila Works, a Spain-based developer that looks to be creating a game that seems like Wind Waker and Ico made sweet, passionate, hot, dirty, sweaty love, and out came this beautiful baby that was called Rime. If you've seen my most anticipated games of 2014, which is a fucking joke now, you'll notice that Rime was high on the list. And yes, I am aware this is a PS4 exclusive. I play games, not consoles. So before you question it, I really have no allegiances to any one company. They're all just corporations out to suck your money, so don't get too attached to them. Now, to stop myself by going off on a tangent on that, we had next to no information on the game after Gamescom last year, and lo and behold, here it is, Gamescom 2014, and we finally get a new trailer. Now, I will say I'm a little peeved at the fact that we're not getting any real solid information on gameplay, controls, or a release date, because that would be really cool for me, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening right now. So why am I so obsessed with Rime? Well, to put it bluntly, as Max stated, it's beaches and Zelda. Of course you're going to buy a PS4 over it. And it's hard to deny that. I do love me some good beaches, and I do love me some good Zelda. And it looks like my love is paying off in spades so far, because everything we've seen from the new trailer seems to be indicating that it's just as awesome as it was last year. So let's break down the trailer minute by minute, or second by second, because it's pretty damn short. So at Mark 016, we can see our main character looking into the water, and I want to point out here the animation on this game. What's really unique here is that he doesn't just peer over the water or just kind of look down and shift left to right. He puts his hands on his knees and gives a good glimpse into it like a real boy would do. Also, once he actually dips his toes in, he sort of wiggles his feet and kicks the water up just like a real person would do. It's these unique animation touches that have really impressed me so far about the game. Also, we get the first look at his face at about Mark 021, which was hidden from the first trailer. Not really sure why, as there's nothing really unique or distinctive about it, but hey, it's nice to see the face of the main character that we're playing as. Now, there's not a whole lot of gameplay in this trailer, which again is a little annoying, but we do get some glimpses at it. The first is at Mark 031, where we see a keyhole in the sand that matches the giant keyhole in the tower, which has changed a little bit from the first trailer, but it does seem to hint that the fact that whatever that tower represents seems to be connected to the pieces of civilization and ruins around it. So we are going to get a little glimpses to that. It also seems to point out that the tower seems to be the main objective, or at least reaching it is. I don't know if that's going to be the end game, or rather the first part of the goal, sort of like in Zelda games where you always have to collect 3 items or pendants first, and then the second half of the game takes place after that. No idea about this so far, but that seems to be your first major goal of the game, is to get to this tower. After climbing up a cliff, the boy comes to a forest in Mark 048. And we can see from the trees an image of a fox, which is done piece by piece on different trees, and when the camera lines up a specific way, you can see the image of a fox on them, which correlates to an actual fox appearing and looking at the main character at that point in the trailer. So maybe there's some sort of puzzle-based element where you gotta like line up the camera and the trees and the markings on ruins and trees just right so you can find what you're looking for. I don't know why you'd be looking for a fox, but who knows? It's so early in the gameplay, it's hard to really tell. But it is something unique. It's something we saw before in Donkey Kong Country Returns, so it will be interesting to see if this leads to any puzzle element later on in the game. Shortly after that, we see the boy doing a cannonball into the water, which is an awesome, unique animation as well, and then we see swimming mechanics. Now, unfortunately, we do not see the boy diving underwater, but we do get a good glimpse of the swimming and the fact that the graphics do look really nice, and you can see below the water and the nice, clear island waters. At Mark 055, we see a warthog or boar-like creature near a pond, and it looks towards the camera and freaks out a bit. Now, this animation touch is highly reminiscent of a unique sort of character animation that you find common in many Miyazaki films, where characters are either nervous, freak out, get goosebumps, or they get like really upset about something and their hair stands on end. I would love to show you a clip, but there is no clips of this existing in good quality on YouTube. Fuck Disney and YouTube and copyright shit. God damn it. Now, what's important to remember here is the orbs around the pond, which will be important in a later part of the trailer. At Mark 107, we see a nice display of the PS4 graphical capabilities as the boy is running across and jumping over a chasm in the rain. What's unique unique about this part is that you can see these sort of shadowy cloaked figures around him. Now, are they ghosts or not? Now, if you think back to the first trailer, you did see some weird shadow figures appear at nighttime when he was making a campfire, so maybe there's some sort of hint as to the past or history of the ruins on this island. At 111, we get a glimpse of a dragon, or pterodactyl, or possibly maybe a bird! At Mark 112, we see the main character approach a statue of a human figure, touch it, and it disintegrates into ash. Very reminiscent of the ash fossils left behind of people during the explosion of Pompeii. If you don't know what that is, fuck you for falling asleep in history class. At Mark 115, we see a giant orb emerge from the pond. Now, this is the same area that the boar was in, just from a different angle. It's also glowing and reacting to the other orbs around it, so this is probably obviously going to lead into some sort of puzzle element to get this to appear. At Mark 120, we see the boy hanging on the bow of a ship at sea in the middle of the night, possibly during a storm. Now, it seems that the boat is being uncontrolled, so this might be some sort of special event sequence rather than hinting at any sort of traversal mechanic. At 124, we see the most bizarre part of the trailer, which is these giant balls with legs walking across the ocean water. Now, this is where I'm starting to think the Salvador Dali inspiration for the game came from that was hinted at by the developers. This is also hinted at something in the first trailer where at the very end we see a very War of the Worlds-like figure appear out of the mist at night, so these might be the creatures we saw. Also, the orbs do resemble the other orbs on the island. And speaking of orbs, we do get to the end part where we see an orb on a bridge at Mark 133. The boy turns it and it seems to change the time of day, and when it goes to nighttime we see a bridge appear, sort of like moon letters in Tolkien writing. So this leads to the natural conclusion that there are time-based puzzles and that these orbs obviously can change the time around the islands. So we can obviously expect some sort of day-night cycle, and getting and accessing different parts of the island probably play heavily into what time of day it is, so finding and using these orbs is probably going to be a big part of that. This shouldn't be anything too unusual for Zelda fans, but it does hint at some sort of more adventure puzzle-based elements rather than just, hey, you're exploring an island. Isn't that great? We do see a new logo at Mark 141, which we see a little hole in the eye on Rhyme, which is obviously referencing the tower, which is, of course, again, one of the main features of the game, or it seems to be the main goal of the game so far. So overall, in general, I'm still just as excited for Rhyme as I was before, possibly even more so. This is definitely the game that gets me to want to buy a PlayStation 4, and I hope you guys like my little breakdown of it. Let me know if you want to hear about any of the other cool shit we saw at Sony at Gamescom this year, and I hope to see you on the channel. Later, dudes!